Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bells. Every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Well, it looks like Nathan Wade is going on I guess, an image cleaning upper tour. Recently, in the last few weeks, he's done, last couple of months, I believe, he's done a few interviews, I guess, trying to show that I guess trying to clean up his image, his reputation, trying to show he has some form of competency. I mean, the dude's a lawyer, for crying out loud. Some of the things that he showed during depositions and examinations, cross examinations, or what have you, dealing with Fani Wade in their relationship, he just seemed like a dude that just didn't have a lot of common sense. So maybe he has a lot of book sense, but street level, when I say street, I don't mean like hood gangster, nothing like that. I mean just like lay person, citizen level. He just seems like he not good with, dealing with situations, I guess. And don't know how to handle it, don't know how to lie. Can't lie worth the, something to save his life. But anywho, like I said, he's been doing interviews, a lot of interviews lately. And one he just did here in particular, seeing there was an awkward moment that I felt we need to get into, because you take 2 steps forward and then, what was it, 3 steps back. Wasn't that like a Paul Abdul song back in the day when she did with a cat or something like that? But anyway, let's get into it. This is from MSN.com by way of Law and Crime. And it says, Trump prosecutor who resigned from RICO case after the judge's ultimatum clams up mid-interview and asked about DA Fani Willis' relationship. Let's get into it. It said Fulton County DA, it said former special prosecutor Nathan Wade, who resigned from the 2020 election-focused Georgia RICO case against Donald Trump and the former president's allies, bizarrely decided to sit down for an interview on CNN while knowing he would almost certainly be asked about issues currently on appeal, namely the timeline of his romantic relationship with Fulton County DA Fani Willis, leading to an awkward clam up moment mid-interview. Now, like I said, there's an appeal process going, trying to get Fani dismissed from the case, because Trump's lawyers and his allies' lawyers know that if they can get Fani kicked off, then most likely the case will be dismissed, because nobody's going to want to, take it back on, because it's going to cost too much money, too much manpower, taxpayers' money, and it probably won't get going to after the election. And if he becomes president, well, hell, if he becomes president, you ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. And if he doesn't become president, you ain't going to care, because they'll probably dismiss it anyway. Everything now is based on trying to keep Trump out of office, period. With the trials in Florida, the trials in New York, and even him being found guilty of giving a stripper some money, which is crazy in itself, because, they're going after this dude real hard. But anyway, no one cares, and it seemed like Trump has got a whole hell of a lot more money since his conviction, is being found guilty. So his supporters are on code. So this stuff is like backfiring. But I think Nathan Wade is, like I say, is just trying to, clean up his own image, because I'm sure he got political aspirations. They don't die because of a relationship. Because hell, he probably said, well, shoot, look at Trump. Trump, like I say, had a stripper, was married, got a stripper, paid to keep quiet, allegedly. And his stock is still skyrocketing. So he's probably saying, hell, I can't do it. I ain't do nothing wrong except date the district attorney. I ain't do nothing. Well, we don't know if it's illegal or not. They haven't proved anything. But anyway, let's continue. It says CNN's Caitlin Collins began by asking Wade what the current status of his relationship is with Willis. And he answered that the two are great friends who continue to talk regularly about the things that are not decidedly romantic. Now, when you watch the video, he didn't say the word nothing about romantic, but they put that in the story, such as how the DA is dealing with the threats against her, democracy, and the case will live on kind of thing. Moments later, Collins asked a question that had a Wade consultant signaling the interviewee to stop talking in detail. Related coverage. It says, just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship begin? But no, just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start? Collins queered. We get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at an issue, and that these exact dates are, and then he stops, he looks off camera, and he says, I'm getting signal here. That's kind of weird too. Well, maybe they thought they were going to like edit that footage out when he said that, because you can, a lot of times people, they do interviews and then they got to splice it and stuff to fit the time frame. And a lot of times fit their narrative, because a lot of times people do interviews and they get upset because they say they don't want to do interviews with certain companies or organizations, because they're like, nah, because y'all don't play the whole interview. Y'all cut and put snippets in it to make it seem like I said one thing or meant one thing when I didn't mean that at all. So it could be what he thought too. He said, but I'm getting signal here, Wade said, removing his microphone and retreating to a corner with his consultant to discuss the way he should actually respond to the question. So again, Nathan Wade, being a lawyer, for some reason, it just seemed like there's a disconnect somewhere. Because if someone asks you this same question that you've been asked 11 times, you should have been like, hey, I'm not going to say anything because this is still in like litigation for the most part. So I'm gonna leave it alone. But not old Nathan Wade. And let's say, everything okay? Collins asked when Wade returned. Yeah. Wade said. Collins asked again when the relationship with the DA began and ended. Wade, rather than critiquing microscopic attention on exact dates, offered a more general response, calling the whole issue an irrelevant distraction, which is what he probably should have said in the beginning. Quote, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction, Wade said. It is not a relevant issue in this case, and I think that we should be focusing on more of the facts and the indictment in the case. This raises an obvious question. Why sit for the CNN interview in the first place? In any event, Collins, noting that there is a pending matter on the issue before the Court of Appeals, asked Wade if his relationship with Willis jeopardized a sprawling Trump probe in prosecution. Of course it did. That's why they're trying to probe it now to see if Fani Willis should be taken off the case regardless if they did something wrong with the money. We're talking about the $250,000 that Wade got paid and ain't do no work and have no receipts of the work he did. And therein lies the issue why we wouldn't touch upon the work of the Court of Appeals or some higher court, Wade said. I think we should allow them to take a step back and allow them to take the evidence that they have and do their work and make a decision. Collins followed up, referring to Wade's testimony in court. You were asked on the stand about when it started and when it ended. It just wasn't completely clear because before the indictment, which is August 15th in Atlanta, and then later the answer was at the end of the year, she said. So I think that was the clarity that people were seeking of when it started and when it ended. Wade declined to get into specifics, again saying the issue was on appeal. Sure. And there again, there's a question before the court that there is a crux of the question. He said, I don't choose to say or do anything that would jeopardize the case or court's ruling. I prefer to allow them to make the decision based upon what they have and accept it. You know what Wade reminds me of? Wade seems like the type of person who can pass tests. But out in practice, the dude could have problems unless it's like smooth sailing. But if anything happens, so let's say like this. Let's say like in nursing, I'll use that for example. I've known people who went through nursing school, made A's and B's, studied hard, cried like the world was at the end, coming to an end, sky was falling. Single moms or just single people, no kids, got a husband taking care of them, or mom and dad who they still living with, and sit there and stressing out like it's the end of the world, crying all the time about this and the third. And then they pass the test, but yet they get into practice and they're just like terrible. not people persons. You know, people complain about them, co-workers, patients complain about them. But then you have people, I say like myself, you know, who went to school, you know, well, I had kids at the time going through divorce. Had divorce, can't say going through, shoot, with divorce. Had kids, still help raising them, still being the dad. Took a while to figure out how to balance it and really, you know, focus on school just for a small amount of time, which now, you know, paid off a benefit. And if my girls need anything, hey, they got it, you know, right? Although they pretty much grown, but you get what I'm saying. But when it comes to practice, you know, not to my own horn or jack in the boxing it over here, but it's like I haven't had too many complaints from co-workers or patients by the way that I deal with people, because I like to deal with people. I like to take care of people. That's the whole reason why I got into the business and to get out of warehousing, because warehousing wasn't amounting to nothing. And I said, well, hey, well, what could I do? And people, you know, say, hey, you might be good in the nursing, because you know what I'm saying. You really like, you know, taking care of people, make sure responsibility is taken care of. It's done. So I get out there. So in practice, I'm pretty doggone good into what I do, right? So, so it's like I said, I wasn't like an A student, made all A's. Shit, I knew a girl who freaking took tests and didn't even study. Might have read the book one time, if the whole book. I read like sections one time and then came back, took tests and made A's. She was so good at it that they thought she was cheating. They were trying to kick her up out of school. I almost did it, but she got back in there and did her thing. But anyway, you got people like that, but I wasn't like that. I had to study and read and take notes and stuff like that. And I can comprehend pretty easily. But anyway, my point is, Wade sounded like the type of person who probably somehow could pass tests, barely got through, but, you know, didn't really understand the concepts. That maybe concept, critical thinking, he might didn't do too well in those, in those areas. But he did just enough to pass and to get on the board and start his career. And, you know, he's making money. I mean, more power to him. It's just something he just need to work on. He said, when Collins asked Wade if the relationship with Willis was a mistake, he answered, absolutely not, twice. And again, called the whole conversation a distraction. It is a tool to stop the train, to slow down the inevitable, which is the trial of the defendants named in the election interference case, Wade said, predicting that the case will still go to trial even if it seems delays will continue into 2025 when Trump could be president again. Man, please. Please. Because, let's see, Wade is right. Let's see, Wade is right. The revelation relationship with the DA has an effect on handling Trump. Mike Roman, Dave Schaefer, Robert Cheeley, Mark Meadows, Rudy Giuliani, Jeffrey Clark, Harrison Floyd, and Kathy Latham wins by grinding proceedings to a halt, regardless of whether ongoing defendants' efforts to disqualify Willis from the case will ultimately have merit in the eyes of appellate judges. In March, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, having heard Wade and Willis' testimony, issued an ultimatum that either the special prosecutor or the DA had to step aside. I think the way McAfee did it was he took the onus off of himself. He said, look, I'm going to let you two decide what you do. Either one of y'all got to go. At least one of y'all got to go. You know, so I'm not going to kick neither one of y'all. Y'all choose which one of y'all got to go, because this relationship cannot go on. But he knew that the decision could be appealed to a higher court to get them both taken off. So like I said, that wouldn't put the burden on him, especially in an election year, especially when him and Fani Willis, I guess, you know, worked together, or he worked for her. And, you know, he done donate to her campaign and vice versa, I believe. But, you know, why be the enemy? Just say, hey, one of y'all got to go because it just don't look right. I mean, come on. In the court of public opinion, I just cannot allow the both of you guys to stay on there. But if you can't choose, I'll choose for you. So, but I'm going to let y'all choose. I think that's how he did it. Just to, you know, to make everybody happy, with to put the responsibility back on the people who did it wrong. But as the CNN interview and Wade's responses show, the issue hasn't gone away. It's on the same day of the interview, an attorney in the Fulton County DA's office argued that the Trump appellate appellate bid to remove Willis from the RICO case should never have been granted, since McAfee did not find a financially related conflict of interest as basis for these motions. Appellants asserted that the district attorney had a conflict of interest in the prosecution due to her personal relationship with the special assistant district attorney appointed to oversee the case on her behalf. The problem is you can't prove it. Just like I said, what it says, odor of is it meniscus or whatever the hell they call it. But it said like we can tell somebody lied. We can tell there's some dishonesty. There could be some rule of law breaking, but right now at this point can't prove it. But we know it's there. Something isn't right about y'all relationship, because first of all, you lied about, y'all can't get it straight of when the relationship started. And then with the money being paid, you can't really justify why you got paid all this, why you charged all these hours. And actually there's no justification as to why all this money was paid to Wade. So something isn't right. So y'all just gonna have to, y'all can't be on this case together, period. And that's just what it is, y'all. So, but anyway, like I said, Wade's back in the news. He won't stay out the news. His wife, estranged wife, or maybe his ex-wife, whatever she is now, she's saying that Wade is talking about he ain't got no money, but bank records show that this dude got paid so much money for this Trump trial, and still probably got money after the fact. It's still getting checks because they showing checks from like October, and dang well he's still owed money up until March. So the dude got money. She's saying he got like at least $500,000 somewhere. He knows how to move money around. It's gonna be ongoing, and eventually, I think she's gonna get what she asked for. Because she got a pretty good lawyer. But if I was Wade, I'd just shut up and just wait. Wouldn't really do too many interviews. Heck, you could do interview on the internet sometime. And the thing about it is, like I say, he got people who who's counseling him, who's advising him. Why don't they just say, hey, you want to do an interview? Send us the questions. We'll see what questions we want to ask, and the ones we don't want to get into, we'll send them back, and then we can do an interview like that and just keep it moving. Not do an interview and just say, hey, I answer all questions, because the fool was about to answer the questions. He was. If the guy wasn't there to stop him and pull him aside, he was about to answer the question, probably say something that was just going to throw everything off and mess up Fani Willis's, ability to try Trump and probably his future in law in the legal setting, because people can be like, I can't deal with that guy. This guy is very incompetent. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Let's dialogue. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, or subscribe. Those 4 ways that you can support the channel. Don't cost you anything but maybe a couple minutes out your day. But if you do want to support monetarily, you can give super thanks, super chat, or go to the description box. And there are links in there that you can click on to help support too. However you support, hey, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.